But don't be nervous, guys. This is a very, very chill stream. So, what's up, everyone? We're going to do episode 2 of our webcast series, talking about Web3 and introducing Web3 concepts to all of our wonderful fans and audience. Last time, we brought you guests from Axie Infinity, and we were talking specifically about Web3 and gaming. And how games have really evolved and the future in which they're going to go. And today we're going to talk about fashion, design, gaming, and how it all integrates into Web3 concepts. So we have some awesome guests today. If you guys can do a quick introduction. Rodrigo, why don't you go first?
What's up, everybody? Rodrigo here. I guess where to start. I am a designer working at the intersection of technology, biomaterials, Web3, luxury, all the good things.
Good stuff. Em?
Thank you
AKA
for that.
Kasaya.
Thank you for that intro, John. And nice to meet you too, Rodrigo. So yeah, people know me as Kaisaya in the esports scene. I'm a mobile shoutcaster. Well, that's mostly my forte. But since last year, I got into the Web3 space already, getting into the NFT and crypto space, learning stuff about it. But I was also a former game developer, game producer for game dev companies like Gameloft Philippines. So yeah, happy to be here with Team Secret, and yeah, nice to meet you all.
Cool. Thank you both for coming on. And like I said, this is a kind of a free flowing conversation. we all have lots to talk about. So we can just kick it off. So I mean, one of the things that's I'm sure on people's minds is that recently NFTs have not done very well in the market, and crypto hasn't done very well, right? NFTs specifically, I think, has dropped like 90 or 95% in the market in terms of trading volume. I mean, where do you guys see NFTs headed, and maybe like your overall view of like the utility or the use of NFTs in general, and sort of where the technology is going?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that it's kind of been interesting to watch the market react in the way it has been. I mean, especially I think we've just exploited the use of NFTs in a way rather than kind of really doing the correct thing for them in terms of the types of projects we're putting out there. But yeah, I mean, I think blockchain itself is going to be, I mean, that's the thing that's going to hold everything together for the future. I don't know if the NFT necessarily will be like the future way, but there's obviously going to be a lot of things that are enabled by the tech. I think it'll be really interesting in like the design space specifically, how you can kind of unlock physical to digital experiences. I know that's something we've been really exploring, just, really being able to access the tech and kind of open up a new world that normally wouldn't be able to be there without it.
Yeah, I think that's really important because I think almost in a way, the rise of NFTs has sort of poisoned the market. And like, Em, this, right? Like gamers almost have like a visceral negative reaction whenever they hear
Definitely.
like NFTs, right? Like
Especially
you get like these
on the hype
you
games.
get these companies like Blizzard and like Ubisoft, and like as soon as they say anything about NFTs, like all the gamers are just like, no, we don't want this. This is terrible. All this stuff, right? And it's just like almost like a knee jerk reaction, right? Which doesn't really get into sort of like some of the benefits that could come with these things. So how do you look at it?
Actually, it's not just the mainstream gamers coming from Web2. Also, the game developers come from it. Like there's already like the divide between those game developers that are getting into Web3 and those game developers who want to stick with Web2. So there's lots of discussion in there. I myself came from game dev, and one of my bosses actually who owns this game development company, like he's really out there saying lots of negative things, but we want to like have that fruitful discussion about where we're really heading into, what do we want to do. But apparently, as for myself, I want to be inside that bubble, take a look at what's really being in there, what's wrong, what's not ethically being done, and what has to be ethically done. But like Rodrigo have mentioned a while ago, we're at the starting phase. We have yet to discover the full potential of this technology. But it's just sad that somehow this technology is just somehow being taken advantage by some people. And I think that's mostly some of the mainstream gamers are actually seeing how prominent rug pull overhyped projects are out there. And making false promises somehow. So I think we must fix this, and I guess it's important for people to really not just do your own research, but really vet for the projects you really want to get into, because it's definitely going to be a gamble if you just make believe about the promises of all these things.
Right.
Yeah, for
I mean, I
sure. I
think
mean,
just the word itself. Sorry, I was saying, like, I think just the word itself, NFT, is just tarnished everything, right? I think if we remove the word from the vocabulary completely and just think about everything else in the same way, like, why do we need the NFT as the kind of, the pre-word before? Oh yeah, this is the NFT of this or the NFT of that. I think we can just drop the concept altogether and be like, think about it in the same way. I mean, we've always tokenized gaming anyways, right? You're still in-game tokens, but now it's kind of just, has value because of the way we've kind of built it out. But yeah, I think removing the word out of our vocabulary, I think, is a start. And then
I
we
Yeah.
can
agree.
kind of build great things because you kind of remove that hierarchy on what it is or what it isn't. It's all the same shit anyways, right?
I just want to agree, like, Web 2 to Web 3, like it's definitely like an innovation. So that's why I think if I'm gonna be asked, okay, if I have to select like a word for, let's say, for games, okay, do I call it NFT game? Do I call it play to earn game? Do I call it blockchain game or Web 3 game? I mostly would, at least for myself, would want to try to make use of Web 3, because it's obviously like the advancement, like assuming HTML 1, 2, 3. So it's kind of like that. So I also like agree on that point coming from Rodrigo.
Yeah, I mean,
Hmm.
to us,
I mean,
it's just a game, right? I mean, I think
just a
that's
game.
it's kind of like what Rodrigo was saying. Like for NFTs, like I was one of the biggest doubters in the very beginning, right? I was a super hater, right? I was like, what are these like pictures of monkeys that people are selling for thousands and thousands of dollars online? Like, what is this shit, right? Um, and when I started getting more into it, I was kind of like, okay, we just ignore like the NFT wording on it and just think about it in terms of what it actually is, right? Because like for example, like there are a lot of use cases out there. Like if you make like a concert, right? And you have all your concert tickets that need to be unique and cannot be duplicated and cannot be counterfeited. Then you make NFTs of those concert tickets, right? And then people can
Hmm.
scan them and go to your concert, right? Instead of calling them like this is the NFT of the concert ticket, it's just like the concert ticket. You know what I
No,
mean?
of course. Of course. I mean, I think it's good in a way where you can actually create, the, not even to say the scarcity, but really just protect the additions that are being launched on it. Are you back? Can you hear us?
I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think, yeah, I think with gaming specifically, there hasn't really been a big shift in terms of what else you can access. I mean, it's the same thing. Maybe it's just not logged on a blockchain. You can't really understand how many objects are really out there or trace them. But at least from like real world experiences, it's like, how do you actually use the tech to protect the amount of experiences that are being used? I think when we were working with Ethereum Foundation 2 years ago, we really explored the idea of authentication and like what authentication can do with blockchain. And that obviously translates into an NFT. But I mean, you can do so many other things and kind of bake in different experiences where people are really encouraged to be active or at least play a part in like the larger role of an experience rather than just really try to monetize it on every level. And I think that's been the problem with NFTs. It's like a big cash grab versus just like, let the tech do its thing and then like really allow for the growth to be organic. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of like you don't want to spoil the party by just throwing money at everything, right? You want to make sure that everybody is playing their part.
The thing that really turned me around was after I was making fun of these like monkey pictures online, right? The Board Ape Yacht Club,
Hmm.
and then I started really like understanding the concept behind it because it wasn't just about people look at it as sort of a artistic token, right? But it actually is a utility token.
Hmm.
And once I came around to understanding that, it became like clear to me sort of the possibility of NFT. So Board Ape Yacht Club, what most people don't know, people just look at it and they're like, oh, these are like pictures of really really expensive monkeys, right, online that you buy. But it actually is. If you think about um, in the physical world, right, you have country clubs, right? You have these clubs where you have to pay like, dues and fees and like really high membership fees to be part of a group of people that get together and socialize and, you make relationships, you make connections and all these things. And you have access to very, very, very private events. Um, Bored Ape Yacht Club is actually the same kind of thing, but just digital, right? Is you have this NFT and it actually grants you access to various discords that give you connection to all these very other private individuals. And actually, there are dinners in Singapore where you can only attend if you have like an ape.
Right.
So it's kind of like just a a method of entry.
Like
so it
a
actually is
ticket.
a utility. Yeah, exactly. It is actually a utility. It's like the country club for the digital world, for the metaverse.
I mean,
And
I
some
think
people, sorry.
no,
Yeah.
no worries.
Yeah.
I was just saying, I think most NFTs like fundamentally are all utility tokens. It's just like how you design the smart contract, right? I think that's where the creativity of how you design it, how you position it, like, who you want working with it or using it. I mean, that's all it really is. It's like, it's all utility. I mean, the contract itself just specifies like who can use it, it authenticates it, and you can really get creative and create any type of utility for it. But yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting that the Country Club is one. You're seeing a lot of different coins doing the same thing. There's another brand or another company called Pool Suite. I don't know if you've heard of them before. They're kind of doing some interesting stuff. It's all about like sunscreen and like good vibes, but they've kind of have their, I guess their NFT version of what their Manor, I think it's called, like their Manor DAO. It's the same thing. You buy it, you get access to all their stuff, exclusive drops. But I think we need more than just like, being a part of a
Utility.
cool club. Yeah, I mean, it's great to be in the same room with Justin Bieber and everybody else, but I think real if you're not Justin Bieber, it's like, how do you get access to things that are really important to you, and like how do you build a community that's actually interested in doing bigger things than just being in like the cool kids club, which I mean there's nothing wrong with, but I think long term we probably need more of these utility tokens to kind of do different things than just the same hype competition of who's in the room.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it is just like cosmetics in games, right? There's like different rarities
Mm-hmm.
of different cosmetics that you can equip when you're playing various different games. And it's just like, look, if you grind it out a ton of hours, right, and you got this really really rare drop, and now you can show it off to all your friends that you're like, hey, I'm like an
Right.
expert at this game, right?
Yeah, there's
Right.
definitely more to that than just access. At least from where I can see it, it could be like we know that it's there in the blockchain, something that cannot be erased. But of course, if you have access, you have access, or if you own it, you own it like indefinitely. Like if a house gets burned, uh, you still have it, so you still have a copy somehow. So I think, like, for example, if you think about it, like, let's say you have a secret diary and you want to turn each of the pages into NFTs. That's something as well that you can have maybe in the long run, after several years, that you can keep still, and your maybe grandchildren will still be able to read and access without losing the quality of the physical, say,
Mm.
diary. So lots of potentials, and in this space, definitely. But I think the doubters are really just coming from, why are we solving this? We don't have any problem. We have a physical ticket. Let's just use ticket. Let's just simplify things and all that. Some people doubt about the metaverse as well. We have an online app for online grocery shopping. So why do you have to make it more difficult, where we have to like install or have that what do you call that again, the VR, so kind of thing. Like, why are you making it hard for us? So I guess it's a matter of perspective and how positive we are, and how we want to see or make use of this innovation overall. We can't please everyone at the start. It's just a matter of like seeing where you want to be in the bubble, inside the bubble or outside the bubble, and just observe.
I think I don't know if you guys have read, but there's this like the soulbound tokens that
Yeah.
Vitalik kind of introduced. I mean, I think that just shows you it's technically, if you think about it from like the premise of like what NFT is, it's the same thing. Like the premise is the exact same, except for the smart contract is different. So it just allows you to kind of have more. I mean, if you're, let's say, graduating from school, you can use these as diplomas where they're not transferable. It's like once they're mint, they're in your wallet. It's like even IDs, like identification. I'm sure the government will probably end up using a lot of these forms of them because it's like these permanent kind of fixtures. So I think like, when you see these things, you start to understand that there's so much more. I mean, there's probably like millions of different variants of what these smart contracts can do. I think we just need to get creative as a society and figure out like, how do we create balance in what we're doing. I think if we keep going down the NFT route where it's just like minting tokens to just show off, I think it's not really going to get us anywhere. I think we've got bigger problems to solve. But I think it's an amazing technology, and it's only going to get better, and like we're going to get a lot more creative stuff coming out there. I think the ape is like how many apes can we mint before people are tired of it? It's like you can't just keep doing the same thing. I think we just need more innovation and figuring out like what is it that we should be doing with the tech.
Well, Rodrigo, you're coming out with something cool, right? That kind of brings out some utility, creativity, innovation, and all that stuff. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Where do I start? Okay, well, we're going to be launching, July 22nd is like the launch date, but we've been working on this project for 2 years. It's called Air. And essentially, it's kind of like our manifesto project that really combines everything from design, technology, luxury, which is my background in luxury design, and looking at new ways of being sustainable. I spent the last 10 years of my life really working in the fields of sustainability, biomaterials, a lot of implementation in the space for, figuring out how to translate ourselves into more of a circular economy, both physically and I think digitally, But yeah, this project essentially is a subscription service. It's a D2C platform that's really kind of really trying to shake up things in the e-commerce space. Coming from a luxury background, we're trying to introduce the idea of a vision for universal luxury, which means that it's not necessarily, it's not really for opulence. It's not really for scarcity. It's really about sharing to the world that, sustainability is possible with really, basic materials like aluminum. If you think of your Coca-Cola can, for instance, we're just treating it with, treating it in the same way as Hermes would treat their aluminum, But we're launching with fragrance, which is kind of like our first drop. It's a little, it's going to be the first of many. I think it's very emotional. But the way that we're building out the brand is really an experience. So you subscribe to it for a year, and there's a lot of really special drops that happen along the way as a member. So we're not using Web3 for this. It's all Web2. We're kind of taking a lot of the principles of Web3 to kind of augment the experience. But, we are using Apple Wallet. We are using Google Wallet to kind of be able to, take you from the physical, which you start with, and then take you to the digital, which is kind of more like the collectibles that you can kind of add with you. And you subscribe to different modules. So depending on the types of the things you're into, you get everything between, like, you'd say your home, your beauty, your fragrance, garments, etc. You get to kind of experience different things in different ways, but using this kind of subscription system, which is fully customizable and really personalized for you. But that's all I can say for now.
Or else we'll get in trouble. No, just kidding.
Yeah, you gotta send us some early access.
Yeah, we actually have our first drop is called Airmail, which will be, I think it's shipping out sometime this week. But maybe if anybody on this chat would like to experience it, send us. Maybe you can make like 25 of these airmails available.
Yeah, dude, I'm sure the chat would love this. I'm sure the chat would love.
I'm gonna chat now. Hang on.
No, we're dropping like 1K every like 10 minutes in our
What's the
Discord.
keyword, Rodrigo?
Yeah. I would say I just need your like name and address, and you'll just get one. You get your first airdrop.
The address.
Yeah, we gotta ship these out.
Oh,
Yeah, these are
wallet
physical.
address.
So it's
These are
digital and
physical.
physical.
So we're mailing out. So we created these envelopes that are really special with the same team that's done all the graphic design for Louis Vuitton and Off-White in the past with Virgil. And we're working with a new paper that we developed. But these envelopes are just really specialized, just like an artifact themselves. Inside, you get that's where the special content is. And with your phone, you actually tap it, and then you can collect the content on the physical. From there, it'll take your Apple or Google Wallet. You'll have a code. That code will be used to redeem something special on the website once we drop. So, if you guys want it, that's our version of NFTs, if you will. I think it's like the physical mail out. But we decided to go physical because, when we do our research, when we do all of our projects, we really kind of like to tap into like the culture or the history of culture. And, as we're building a luxury brand, a lot of the mindsets really came from the origins of royalty. If you think about it, where, kings and emperors and, the bourgeoisie would gift each other their highest value possessions. And that was essentially like a sign of respect. So we've kind of lost that in a way. we wanted to kind of bring back the idea of like gifting, or the act of gifting, which is one of the codes of luxury. And for us, it's doing it in a way where, even like the oldest school way of doing communication is sending a postcard, sending something from me to you. There's like an intimate connection or an experience there. And then on top of that, you layer it with the digital. And I think that's kind of where we're trying to really break those boundaries. And then once you've accessed it, you're already in that universe. You don't really need to be digital first, or like you can't get, there's no bots that can intercept these envelopes, because they really are one of ones. Each one is one of one. But it'll allow you to kind of experience it. The first drop of our fragrance will be on there, so you get to experience that. And just keep that in your wallet for future things. There'll be some cool stuff happening.
That's super cool. So
but
you
that's
get
the first one.
A physical object, physical mail, right? And then that takes you into, so that's part of the beginning of the journey, and then that takes you into sort of the digital journey, and then you get the NFT, and then that brings you back into like the physical. That's really, really cool. So that's like very different than how other I guess luxury houses have approached this, right? Like Balenciaga and like Gucci and like Christian Dior and like even like Nike, Adidas, right? That have done stuff in the metaverse. We've seen like Balenciaga do stuff with like Fortnite, for instance, where it's just like some crazy skins in the game.
It's just lazy. They're just lazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
drop
for
the
sure.
bomb.
I mean, what other? I mean, are all the sort of major fashion houses just kind of looking at it like this, or are they looking at more of the? Are they taking it further? I guess. I mean, have you seen any? Have you in the gaming world? Have you seen any?
And no, to be honest, like you mentioned, it's like mostly skins or just being there, having the digital presence in the metaverse. But yeah, we need something even more creative. And just to share, at least I think, again, there's just still untapped market, right, in the Web3 space, at least for gamers. So that's what we're still looking for at the same time. Yes, maybe they tapped into Team Secret, and to some other mainstream gamers, like a few of us in here in the space right now. But there is a huge percentage still, like you mentioned a while ago, John, right? So announce this, like coming from Blizzard, announced it. We're going to be including NFTs later on the roadmap. Then everyone goes crazy. Well, people get mad and all that. So, but I guess we have yet to tap them and find that onboarding process for these mainstream gamers. And it's a challenge, for most developers, to be honest, to get them into the space too.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that the biggest challenge is really creating like original content from an NFT perspective. There's always this like copy paste repeat mentality where someone sees and then they just copy, or at least try to do what the next company is doing. Which is normal. I mean, it's such a new tech that a lot of people don't really know. Like, you can't like put millions of dollars into something and just try to create a new idea from it, and if it fails, you basically lost your investment. So a lot of companies want to play it safe and just do like see what everyone else is doing, follow the trend. But what I think we need is like companies stepping up and just like reshaping the whole industry by creating their own versions of it. We can't just keep doing the same as everybody else. I mean, when we did the project with Ramoa last year, it was quite tricky to kind of convince LVMH Group to launch an NFT where they've never done one before. And, it was like their first as a group. And the way we positioned it was really where, you buy the digital and then you get the physical. That was kind of the premise around it. So, we developed all the CGI for it and really made this whole big event. And when we launched it, it was like a 24-hour sale. And the day after, the market completely crashed. So I think we lost all visibility on the project. It's one of those that just kind of got lost or buried under the rug, which is such a shame. But in a way, it's kind of cool where the first one ever was a flop. But I mean, that's the whole point, is like we need more people trying new things. And there was only one of each NFT was a one of one. So we had a table, a lamp. We had a food cart and like a transparent speaker, and all of them were like full scale, made with aluminum. It was a 2-year project that we developed with them. And the digital, because of the digital nature of the project, the physical kind of got lost. Whereas if it was maybe the other way around, where it's like if you get the physical first, you can kind of authenticate these as real pieces and have these, whatever, it's like a certificate of authentication, if you will. And maybe it could have been a different fate, but it was, for us, it was more just like pushing the boundaries. And trying to create something very differently. We had no objective, and we weren't really doing it for the money. It was just more to like kind of put the project out there and see how people would respond. And this was like 2020.
Yeah, even that's further than what a lot of other brands have done. I feel like what we've seen thus far has just been, it's been less about interaction and experience and more just
Mhm.
like, oh, we're just gonna put our brand in like, the metaverse, and that'll be that, right?
Yeah, throwing a swoosh in there and then sell digital shoes, and people will go crazy for them.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah. I mean,
people want real shoes. People want real one of ones. Yeah.
yeah, exactly, exactly. So I mean, I feel like there's no like, and then what, right? What
Mhm.
happens to these things after the fact? I think there's no like utility after that, right?
Yeah,
It'd
yeah.
be cool if there was some place where you could actually like, put the shoes on, maybe on your like character or something like that, and actually like have some utility like in a game or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's what we're seeing.
Here's
It's
one
a
for
move
Nike.
to earn. Yeah. Here's what we're like. Yeah, I think that's why we're seeing. Yeah, like move to earn games already as well. Like applying all those physical things that we can do in the real world and see how it can be applied digitally as well. But then again, go back to the real life stuff. So then again, I actually read this somewhere over over Twitter, over the internet, saying that we have lots of like hype or like marketing in the space already, that we lack developers and critical thinkers for the space. And I think we need to invest more in that too, because we are overhyped. To be honest, we're overpromised. We have the money, like investors are out there wanting to support projects, but there's just a lack of developers in the space. So yeah, I just wanna share that, like what I because I think I do believe in that aspect as well.
No, totally. I mean, yeah, the staffing is critical. I think even for us right now, building out Air, the problem has been finding the right people. Those who can actually think, 5 years ahead, but execute in the present. I think is also a
Hmm.
very big challenge. Because I mean, working. I mean, I used to work at Tesla, and it was really interesting, kind of being a part of Model Y development and just seeing that a car can make it from clay onto the road in 18 months. I mean, that's just insane to think that you can take literally a clay model that doesn't move and make a driving model that's on the road
It's
and
pretty
people can
sick.
drive in 18 months. But to think about how much work and how much, let's say, engineering goes into at least the precision of engineering that goes into making that thing. You've got 40,000 of like the world's best talent kind of
Yeah.
in one place, really focused on the same goal, and that's why things like that can come out. So I think when you have, these new objectives for technology, it's like, well, what happens when you bring the world's best talent to create, what's the challenge that we're kind of focusing? I think our biggest challenge right now that we're facing, I think, is like the Earth's health. If you really think about it from that perspective, I mean, a lot of things are happening around the world that just continue to deplete our resources, and kind of we keep extracting in places where we don't have anymore. It's kind of putting a lot of stress in the world. So I'd like to see where, let's say 40,000 of the world's best minds can come together and
Hmm.
create a solution that kind of can fix that, and it's not necessarily just using NFTs to, cash in and get rich, but it's like, how do we actually use blockchain to solve really important issues? And I think that's where we need to be kind of getting, the best use of the tech, at least from my perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of this stuff can be used for like traceability of materials and like things
Hmm.
like that, right? Where it's just like,
Totally.
okay,
Totally.
yeah, like right now it's just kind of a little bit, like materials will come and they may not be harvested in the most upstanding of ways, and it's kind of like a black box of like, oh, where did this stuff come from? But if
Hmm.
if you immortalize it somewhere, you add the traceability aspect to it, then it's like, you can actually see like, oh, these are like conflict free diamonds, or these are this is like lumber that's sustainably
Yeah.
sourced. Like these are types of things that we should be looking into in terms of the utility aspect of blockchain and
100%.
NFTs.
I actually had this like during COVID. I had this like post-it note that was sitting on the front of my desk, and it wrote, can you trace the Earth's health with blockchain? Like, can you track the Earth's health with blockchain? As a concept, is like, how do you? It's like the health monitors where you can like tap in, plug in here, you can see like your heart levels, your sugar rate, or whatever. I mean, what if we could do that with the Earth to really understand like how is it fucked? Are we stressing it out? Like what are the things that can give us access to really understanding everything about that? And if you kind of, in a way, not to say even tokenized, but if you use blockchain in a way where you can understand, how fast we're, depleting the forest, how fast the water is being polluted, all this information could be, somewhere visible, and it's, in real time, because it's actually, real time data that's being translated, and these inputs could give us real information to be like, oh shit, like the earth is not doing so well in this part of the world because of like the toxin levels in the water, or the air quality is not good. So then with that causes change. You can actually have, let's say, sensors that go in and kind of clean up the air if it reaches a certain level, but it's all kind of happening in real time with blockchain. So yeah, I mean, ideas like that. But I think, yeah, long term, I really think that the technology is going to give us so much more access to kind of creating real value, like real information, or more accurate information. Because right now, even like marketers, for instance, when we talk about, recycled clothing, I mean, that's one thing for me, at least. It's like, yeah, recycled this. It's like, okay, well, where is it being recycled from? What's the origin of the recycled material? Like, is it even recycled at all? Did you mix it with anything? And it's very difficult to kind of create the transparency when people are just using language to kind of mask, like the larger thing. Because you don't want to get grilled if you say, oh, this is recycled, but then you do an analysis and it's like 50% is actually come from raw virgin fiber from a tree. And the rest is like mixed in with like who knows what. You're like, all right, well, technically it's made with recycled material, but like, is that what you're going to, claim as your own? And that's, I think, where NFTs, or this kind of idea of blockchain,
It's just a
really,
recycled look.
yeah, but it's like, it's real shit, like you can't bypass the real information. So it gives, I think, puts a lot of responsibility on the people when they talk about what they're putting out there, and hopefully acts in a way where we just make better decisions in the future of how we make things and how we distribute things, and like kind of really make sure that our carbon impact is not as extreme.
Yeah, that the environmental impacts definitely something that need to be addressed as well. Lots of projects out there right now, some to literally just rug pull and money grab, but some really have, quite unfortunately, I see projects that have real good intentions, not really getting the hype that they need to be out there, but quite apparently those that are making false promises getting to the space because they have money to, like, okay, make use of influencers and promoters to get their names out there. So me as an influencer too, that's what I'm trying to be very careful and be very wary of as well. What I promote, like my own community, I don't want them to put in danger, or like recommend them something that is not that I did not personally vet myself. So I think we need more good people in the space too, that really has good and clean and pure heart intention in the space.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like Gemini, right? Like our philosophy with Gemini and with Secret overall. Like a lot of people ask, like, well, you guys grew Gemini really fast, and you guys obviously have a lot of resources, right, to get into a number of different Web3 games. But for me, it's like we got into Axie Infinity because it was the kind of the original NFT play to earn game. The founders and the company itself is a very upstanding company. They're here for the long time. They got hacked, and then immediately they're like, all right, we cover everybody's losses, like it's all good. So they're here for the long term, right? And so this is a project that we believe in and we can get behind. And the reason why we haven't gone into other projects is because, well, it's not that other projects are good. It's we haven't had time to kind of fully vet like all these other projects, and we really want to fully vet them before we recommend them to our community. Yeah, let us know. Let us know. No Pega, all right? We're not
I
into
don't
horse racing.
I don't you know me, like I vouch for good projects, but yeah, let's talk about that offline.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we want to recommend our community like good projects, right? And good projects that are not only like made by upstanding people that have good intentions, but good projects that offer good experiences to our community, right? Something that's like cool, something that's like, oh, okay, now you see like what the potential of this technology could be, and maybe it inspires somebody, right? Because like these guys in our community are also people that are involved in building this community, right? And some of this can be very inspirational to them, and it might set off a spark, and they might do a cool project because of this. So these are the things that we want to sort of nurture and kind of like ignite, right?
Yeah.
A lot
we
of
need more good people.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the things that are in esports right now are just like, oh, we're gonna issue some like fan tokens, right? We're gonna, just mint some tokens with our branding on it, and if you're a fan, you come buy our token.
Yeah.
Like, and these tokens don't actually do anything, right? They're just like,
Mhm.
all right, we're just gonna sell some tokens, right?
There's more clarity that is very much needed, not just like promises, like but real plan, detailed plan, if you may, because yeah, we just need those, not just words.
Yeah. Well, I think we just need to start creating, just new channels of communication in a way. I mean, I think like the NFT route or the NFT channel, if you will, is so overcrowded with information. Like nobody really knows what the point of it is anymore. You're just kind of in the space. But I think if you kind of take a step back and be like, all right, if it's not about the money, what are the things that we can try to solve? At least for us in like the fashion and design space, we're trying to kind of solve sustainability. We're trying to solve luxury, where it's like, what are the bad things about the space? What are the bad things that people are doing? And like, how do we create our own version of it and kind of just get creative and use the tech to kind of get us there? So I think, with all the different things that people are trying to do is like take a step back and just understand like, what's your objective? What's your goal? And how do you actually create your version of it? And not everybody needs to be in the same arena competing for the same cup. Maybe you have a different arena where people actually have a lot more similar goals and objectives that you can kind of build communities that way. I think, yeah, if you look at the idea of decentralization is that it's decentralized. It's like a universe worth of stars, but we're kind of like all still centralized in a way. Everyone's still trying to play in the same system. Is like, the whole idea is you can kind of go out there and work with everybody to solve those problems.
Yeah, I think it's about like really understanding the target market that you want to target in this space. Let's say for gamers. So I've seen lots of projects being out there. See, I even encountered a project wherein they want to target the esports industry, but none from the founders actually came from esports. So that was just like, okay, that was like a red flag. Okay, what do we want to do in here? They are just about to start getting understanding about the esports industry. So that's just one red flag, and you don't know what their real intentions are. Maybe the white paper looks good, the website looks good, all the materials look good, but it's not really out there, and it's you kind of have that doubt in there. But I guess for projects related to games, again, understand the market. What are the gamers really looking for? It's fun games, challenging games. Take out the money, the earning in the play and earn, maybe. Then check if you'll still find a game fun. So then add the maybe the blockchain aspect onto it. And now I see some bigger players in the space right now, like Ni no Kuni, that actually like started really in the in the Web 2 space, and they are planning to they have a massive community right now. And even Ghibli Studios is part of the art side of the project, and it's good. Yeah, even Mir 4, they started from being Web 2. Thetan Arena was originally a Web 2 project under a different name, and they just converted it into basically the product is out there already for the gamers and not the other way around. And I think that's what Rodrigo in the fashion space it has been doing. Present the Web 2 product and then convert it to, or like insert the Web 3 or innovative idea in there.
Totally. I mean, even the way, when we design anything or we create any type of new idea, it's really just going back to square one, like the origins of everything, right? Like what is the origin, in this case, of the internet? Before all the Web 1, Web 2 is like, what was the internet or the idea of the internet really founded on? I read this really interesting article a few years back, and it was talking about how like the internet was designed like a neighborhood, right? And if you think about your city, you've got like your bodegas, you got your streets, you got your kind of, let's say, main streets, you've got your highways, etc. But the internet was not modeled around highways. It was modeled around, your neighborhood. So like you can walk down the street, go knock on your friend's door, hang out in real life. If you need to go buy something, you go down to the corner store. You got your homie there. It's like, what's up, bro? Like, you can have these conversations. And I think as everybody started to kind of join the internet, everybody's objectives were, kind of trying to grow and like get more out of this tech. So, before you knew it, you can't use the neighborhoods anymore. You got to get on the main streets. You've got a lot of traffic now. Like if you think about it from like a traffic perspective or a metaphor for traffic, your main streets are now congested. You got red lights, etc. So like the best thing now to communicate and travel further is now getting on the highways and the freeways. So if you think about Instagram, Facebook, all main information are literally living on these freeways, where you can't actually stop because it's going so quickly. But if you take a step back and you just go back to your neighborhood and slow it down a bit, you can start to see that there's a lot of other people still living in neighborhoods that are like, yo, I'm chilling, I'm growing my garden, I got my, got my bodega, you build small communities. And I think we almost need to go back to that mindset where it's like, of course you can be on the highway or the freeway or on the main street, wherever you want to be. I mean, there's a place for everybody in the space. The question is, where should we be? What is the human desire? So, even rebuilding Web3 is like, the internet is evolving into that way again, where it's like originally when, Web3 was kind of up and starting, it was the same way. It was like these communities were being built. It was not about the excess or the greed or the highways. Right now, like these highways are Coinbase, if you will, or Binance or whatever everybody uses. And I think we just kind of need to go back and just like redraw it out. It's like, all right, what are the objectives here? How do we build community and how do we kind of create these more intimate experiences where we want to be a part of them? I think gaming is one where it's like the experience is like, in the game. But if you take a step back, it's like, it's not like you just like live in a game all the time. You still have to live life, wake up, get dressed, do whatever you got to do, go to the grocery store if you do go to the grocery store. But even those experiences are like, well, how do you make those more exciting than the game itself? It's like, how do you actually make life more exciting, but kind of using the technology in a way to augment it rather than really be like the only thing that everything is about. I think that's where like the NFTs kind of feel like they've taken a misturn or like a misstep. It's like we need to go back to that original way of thinking. And that's, I think, where you can kind of create beauty in a lot of really cool projects, because that's where it all happens, back at the house, back in your neighborhood.
Like, remember the fundamentals, right? Like, we're too advanced in terms of thinking right now. We forget about what was like really the intention, let's say, of a product and how to target the market.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I mean one of the things I could see is like if NFTs really give us like traceability in the real world, right? Then you can, I mean, I think there are even some games out there that are not in the Web3 space, but in the Web2 space, where you accomplish certain objectives in the game, in like a Web2 game, and then that'll trigger some action in sort of the physical world, right? It's just like, do these things and a tree will be planted.
Right, exactly.
Right,
but
like
have accountability for it.
Yeah. Have accountability. You have to have
Yeah.
accountability and traceability, through like blockchain, right, to make sure that it is actually happening. But these are some of the things where it's like, okay, now you can make like sustainability and like conservation and things like that exciting, and make it like a game almost that people can like go and play, and like because these things are like these activities are addicting and people like to do it. Like, imagine if I had like I play Wild Rift like maybe like in between like all my meetings, right? So if I'm ever late to a meeting, if I'm ever a meeting, so like if I have like an hour meeting, right, and I finish in 50 minutes, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get into the game, and I'll be like 5 minutes late to my next meeting. So if I'm ever like 5 minutes late, you know what I'm doing. But imagine if I could actually like accomplish some goal by playing this other than grinding MMR.
You're traceable. You're gonna be traceable. Oh, you came from playing Wild Rift, that's why you're late.
I mean, that would be dope. I mean, imagine a game. I mean, like from the back end, the fundamentals are, save the world, right? So for every like level you unlock, a tree is planted, because like all the tokens. I mean, it's more about like the community working together to solve certain things.
Yeah, and what you could do is like, okay, if you do something, right, it mints a token and a tree is planted, right? And the minted token is connected to that tree. And then if like a tree is chopped down, then the token is burned, right? So then you can track like an entire forest, like how many tokens are being burned, right? And you're like, oh shit, it's like getting burned too quickly. We better plant some more trees.
Exactly. I mean, that's what Terra Zero was doing essentially, right? They created a DAO around a forest. It was kind of crazy. They allocated tokens, or I don't know how many they put out there. Maybe it was like 1,000 or 10,000. But the idea is like, once you kind of get the engine started and you allow, for coins to be populated and people kind of take care of them, the trees now are assigned value. There's like value assigned, which means that, if a tree is chopped down, it's like, well, that value needs to be protected. So then you've got like sensors in the forest, you've got like cameras. So anytime there is like some sort of disturbance, you've got people that are like volunteers or kind of working to protect it that can be on site. And, they're getting paid for it, because now those tokens are paying these people. So it's like this circular economy where, everybody's contributing to create, for the cause.
Yeah, and again, more ideas to that. I really feel that there's still a long way to go in this technology. Can do lot more things. Maybe even making it easier for even payments, or even the planting of trees like that. But my I think my worry is that, like, what if, like, we don't really need to create jobs, if like there will be jobs that will be lost in the real world sense. So I think that's what others are actually like being fearful about. So, but then again, I see at the same time, because I love technology as well, I am so into that transition into innovation, or finding new other ways, or new jobs, new kinds of job. Like, I think play to earn, maybe that is actually one that have created jobs for multiple people, especially when the pandemic happened. So, some people actually judge it like, okay, you're just playing a game, but not doing anything like something that can contribute to real world problems. But yeah, lots of things to discover still and study in this space. So a long way to go
But
still. I think we're lucky we're
that's the
here
key
still
though.
starting. Yeah.
But that's the key, though. I think, like you just said it, is like you feel like you're not contributing by playing games, but it's like, well, what if you were? Then it's no
Yeah.
longer a game. If the whole objective of the game is to do certain things, or like the call to action is beyond just like collecting something, is like there's more that's been designed into it. I think that's where people can start having fun, because life is about fun. I mean, I think about this every day, is like my work is extremely stressful, but it's like my dream to like be creating all the time. But at the end of the day, you just want to have some fun. Like, who gives a shit about the other stuff? Dealing with emails, it's like, okay, you got to do it, but at the end of the day, like, I'd rather just go and have a walk outside, or like go run with my dog. Like that for me is like my little break. So how do you bake in the idea that, like, just by having fun and living life to the fullest in whatever thing you do also is rewarding, because you're actually contributing back with your actions? It's like the action is what is what's helping others. And I think that's where, like, fundamentally, when you design the architecture of the game, or the system, or the website, or whatever product you're putting out there, I think there needs to be more than just like
Hmm.
make some money on this thing. And I think that's kind of like where
Yeah.
that's all it is. It's like, how do I make some money? Like, I feel
Yeah.
like that's like that's
Into
it.
our pockets.
Great.
And that's
Exactly. Straight into our
it.
pocket, and that's it. So beyond just that, I mean, imagine you still can make money, but like a percentage of it, which you don't even realize is not there, is going towards somewhere else, where like there's new economies being created. I mean, last in 2020, working with Ethereum Foundation with Ken, who's not on the call, we really started thinking about like what the future of art and design was. From we started with authentication, we started with community. This idea of like building together. I mean, even at the very beginning of COVID, you really felt that everybody was really more united. It's like the first time this kind of crazy pandemic went down. We were all part of it. We're talking with our friends. Zoom calls became the thing. Now Zoom calls are kind of like, you're on another Zoom call, like, okay. But when we started these conversations, we had this concept called international waters. And the idea is that, there are no borders. It's like this mindset for decentralization. But the economy itself, it was more about like, how do you create an economy that allows for people to contribute and do their own thing, where it's like you're incentivized to participate, because by participating, everybody wins, right? So we kind of created what we're calling like the circular economy, looking at nature, or at least water, which is like the currency that we called it. We had water, which is the currency, which is a stable coin, and we had the ocean, which was kind of like the nonprofit. So every time someone spends something or uses water, 9% goes back to the ocean automatically. And this is all written in the smart contract. So the more people that are, let's say, buying or consuming or participating, creates wealth for other people to come in and just kind of like take. There's like, obviously, there's you can vote for who gets what, you can vote for projects, etc. But the idea is like this money is made available for everybody. And the idea is that like infinitely you're creating value in currencies. Like, it will just never stop, the same way as like water in the ocean. It's the same metaphor. There is water for everybody. The only thing is like we've kind of created systems that have prevented for water being everywhere. So what if you could design an economy that kind of has the same premise? And here the objective was simple. Is like, how do you just encourage people to be a part of something bigger, and how do you get people to kind of start thinking about an economy where it's not even about the value of money, because I mean, money is not real technically. I mean, you've seen, you can mint whether it's like the Shibu coin or whatever out there. They're not worth anything at the beginning. People just put value on them because of their significance or the context to what is valued. So the same with here is like, well, what if you can create value through community? What if you can create value by building together?
Hey, you know what the funny thing is, like, we have all these ideas, right? Okay, how do we do this? How do we do that to ethically do this and that? But quite apparently, yes, we have few ideas and like, how to implement it, but we don't really have the plan of action, or maybe we're still lacking on brainstorming with all the great minds existing in the world right now. So that's why we don't have an answer to all our questions. So that's just the funny thing. I think there is a need for more collaboration with projects, because I see in some projects they just want to be the best, the first among the rest, and there is this like they want to take ownership and be first spot to do this kind of thing, and we're missing the part wherein we have to collaborate and work as a community as a whole, I guess.
Yeah,
I mean, teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Sure. I think these are the conversations that need to be had in a broader forum, right? Which is why we sort of do these webcasts from time to time, and what sort of our engagement with like Uniswap, for instance, like when we told Ken was like, dude, we're not. What I work with Ken is like we're not here to like do anything specific. We're not here to like shill any coin or anything like that. It's just like, let's just have discussions and conversations about important topics so that people can kind of break down some of the misnomers and things that are misconceptions out there, and let's talk about some of the controversial things too.
Yeah.
And then that way it becomes the topic becomes much more approachable, and then hopefully somebody gets inspired and somebody finds like some ideas, and we can go forward from here, and then maybe something
and
cool
we don't
will come
care
of it.
if we don't get credited. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
It's if it's for the betterment of the earth, of Mother Earth, sure, why not?
Yeah. All right.
That should be it, right?
Yeah, I mean, we are at the end of our time right now, so I do want to thank you guys for joining, and these conversations will continue to happen, and hopefully we can have you on the show again in the future.
Really glad to be here. Thank you for the invite.
Thanks for having us,
John. Nice to meet you, Rodrigo.
We'll
thank you, guys.
Thank
Signing
you.
off.
See you later, guys. Take care.
See you guys.
See you.